All right, so the first video is processing, and I am going over the second part of section 4.4. After this video, Asia just emailed about number 1. I'm going to go over number 1 on Google on that Unit 3 practice test, so I'll also have that soon. I'm trying to get as much calculus work done before my son comes home at 5 o'clock, because I know you guys are studying like crazy tonight and tomorrow morning before 9 o'clock. So I'm going to try to have all the resources posted for you before 5 p.m. today, but thank you guys for emailing me. I'm getting lots of emails right now, and that's really great. That's what I wanted. All right, so the second part is not going to be on exam 3, but it will be on your homework 3, your homework for this week, 4.4 homework. The average value of a continuous function. I really just grabbed the homework problems that you have. The average value over a closed interval a to b for a continuous function, just like how we find the average of any test scores or anything. I mean, we divide it by something, right? We divide by the number of tests that we took, something like that. So what you're going to do is that you're going to first find the definite integral, just the area over that closed interval. And then what you're going to do is you're going to divide it by b minus a, the length of the interval. Or not dividing by, you can say multiply it by 1 over b minus a. So finding that definite integral is what we've been doing so far. But I also brought in some the integrals where you're going to have to use the exponential rule, because I think we practiced the power rule a lot. We did a couple of natural logarithm rules, but we haven't really done too many exponential rules with the base e. So I brought number 5 and 6, and I included them on your homework so that, you do get a couple practice problems. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the first one. Example 4, find the average value of the function. So what do we do? The average value, and then look at the notation. Y is a AV, the average, is equal to 1 over b. Now, a is what? A is 0. 1 over b minus a. I want to do that part. This fraction is what I'm trying to come up with. A is 0. That's your lower bound. And b is 9. So b minus a equals 9 minus 0. That's 9. It's basically the length of this closed interval. So this is 9. So you're going to have a fraction of 1 over 9 times the definite integral from 0 to 9 of that function, x squared minus 19 dx. So you got all the tools. You know how to integrate this. So we'll keep that 1 over 9 just waiting over there. But let's find the antiderivative of x squared minus 19 and put it in this square bracket. That's going to be x cubed divided by 3 minus 19x divided by 1. And we're going to evaluate that from 0 to 9. So just make that 1 over 9 wait outside there for us. So I'll just say this guy is just patiently waiting. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and plug in 9 into this. So that will be 9 cubed over 3 minus 19 times 9. That's the first thing that I'm going to do. And then I have to do minus 0 cubed over 3 minus 19 times 0. And you see this brown stuff just came out to be what? 0, right? So that's good. What I need to do is simply find what that purple piece is. And then divide by 9. So let me type that purple piece into my calculator. That's going to be 9 cubed divided by 3 minus 19 times 9. What did you get? I got 72. So 72 divided by 9 is simply 8. So the average value of the function of this f of x over this interval 0 to 9 is simply 9. So the only new piece is really just that formula, the average value formula. But you do know how to integrate the definite integral. So these are not going to be too challenging. But now what we're going to do is, we should really review all these integration rules. You're fine with power rule. But we haven't really done too many exponential rules. So I'm going to go ahead and write down that rule on the side. This is what we covered in section 4.1 about 2 weeks ago. So here's the exponential rule. Uh-oh. For base E. So review of 4.1 real quick. If you want to integrate something like E expression, E raised to the AX power dx. And then the indefinite integral had a form of 1 over A times E to the AX plus C, right? We're not going to have to worry about C this case because we are going to have bounds. We're going to have definite integral to plug in. But A does not equal to 0. So this was the rule that we talked about in section 4.1. And just kind of wanted to put a couple of these problems as we haven't really practiced too many of it. We were very good with power rules everywhere. But let's do a couple of these exponentials. Okay, so example 5. Find the average value of the function over the given interval. So A is what? 0 and B is 1. So 1 over B minus A, that's the fraction that we have to multiply, right? Is going to be 1 over 1. So simply, all we need to do to find the average value of the function over this interval 0 to 1 is all I need to find is that definite integral from 0 to 1. Why? Because that fraction that we're supposed to multiply just came out to be 1. So let's go ahead and evaluate this definite integral of 7e to the negative x power dx, okay? You can pull out that 7 temporarily. You can just worry about the 7 later. And we can just work with integrating this e to the negative x power dx. So let's find the antiderivative. Okay, let's find the antiderivative. Remember, what's a here? What's a here? A is, I'm trying to use that exponential rule here. A is, and I'm sorry I'm using a. Earlier I used a as the lower bound of this closed interval, but I'm using a in this exponential rule for right now. A is negative 1. So if you want to use this exponential rule, that's what I'm doing to find this antiderivative. That's going to be 1 over negative 1 times what? E to the negative 1x, right? And no more plus 0 because we are about to plug in our bounds, 1 and 0. Looks so complicated, but all we really did was we used the exponential rule. Uh-oh. I couldn't spell exponential for a second. Oh yeah, it's okay. Exponential rule. And if I simplify this a little bit further, that will be 7 times negative e to the negative x power. Oh, sorry, not times yet, because I didn't really plug in my bounds just yet, right? And 7 is just waiting. We still need to plug in our lower bound and upper bound into this. But if you want to double check, this is us checking. Check. What is the derivative of negative e to the negative x power? Negative e to the negative x power. And that comes out to be what? Negative e to the negative x power times negative 1 from the chain rule, and that turns into e to the negative x power. And that was the integrand, right? So that matches. So exponential rule for integration looks kind of confusing, but it's really just the backward of what we already know about finding the derivative of e to the x. All right, let's go ahead and plug in the bounds. That will be 7 times negative e to the negative 1 minus negative e to the negative 0. All right, let's simplify this. This is going to be 7 times negative e to the negative first. There's nothing I can simplify about that one. But what's this? What is anything to the 0 power? Anything to the 0 power is 1, right? So that's going to be minus negative 1 right there. So that will be 7 times 7 times negative e to the negative first power plus 1. And I think you can stop there, but if you want to distribute that 7 in, you get negative 7 e to the negative first power plus 7. Now, it did look a little bit confusing, I agree, just because we had all these negatives, but that is it. That is it. We just had to review the exponential rule for integration, and plugging in the bounds. That was just the same thing, and the 7 was just a constant that we pulled out in the beginning. So it's a good review of exponential rule. Feel free to watch this over and over again. I think I may have went a little bit fast, but I think you can understand where all these signs and symbols and everything came from. All right, let's do actually one more exponential rule. We gotta review this rule. All right, how about I borrow this down there? I think the last one is also using the exponential rule. Haha, yeah. Our example 6, a company determines that its weekly online sales, S of T, in hundreds of dollars, T weeks after online sales began, can be estimated by the equation below. Find the average weekly sale. Find the average weekly sales from week 7 through week 2 through week 7. So T equals 1 and T equals 7. So we got the lower bound and the upper bound. So remember, for that formula, I need A is 2 and B is 7 to find 1 over B minus A, which is 1 over 7 minus 2. So I'm going to need to multiply our definite integral by 1/5, okay? So let's find the average, okay? Now, how about the notation? I mean, I've been calling it Y average the whole time, but how about I call it something a little fancy? How about S average, okay? The sales average is going to be 1/5 times the definite integral from what to what? 1 to 7 of that function 7e to the tth power dt. So let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and bring out that 7 in front of it, and just going to evaluate e to the tth power, not evaluate, integrate e to the t dt, okay? That is 7 over 5, and if I find the antiderivative of e to the t, oh, that's going to be easy. That's just going to be what? E to the t. And the bounds that I must plug in are 1 and 7. All right. So 7 over 5, hang in there. We're coming. We're going to have to plug in first 7 into this, and then subtract 1. Okay. So that's 7 over 5, patiently waiting outside. E to the 7th minus what? What is e to the first power? Well, that's just going to be e, right? Okay. That's just going to be e to the first power. Nothing that I really did. Now, but then the thing is, would it be acceptable for you to report to your boss, hey, our average weekly sale was 7 over 5 times e to the 7th minus e to the first power? No, probably not. They probably want you to say, hey, just give me the dollar amount. It's okay if it's a decimal. So why don't you type this in your calculator and report them in a dollar amount in decimal, okay? So 7 over 5 times e to the 7th minus e to the first power, or just e. Okay, what did you get? You should get 1531.48. Oh, hold on a second. I'm going to go ahead and erase this. Why? Because I think I read something about the units of this. Okay, now S of t, let me highlight this part for you. S of t was in hundreds of dollars, right? It was in hundreds of dollars. So it's not $1,531.48. I need to multiply this number by what? 100, because it was in hundreds of dollars. So, the average weekly sales amount is, move 2 to the right, 1531.48. 135,148. So that's what you're going to report. The average weekly sales amount is 153,148. So when you're doing the homework problem and you type this in and they say, no, that's not correct, maybe you just forgot to multiply by the unit that S of t was in. And my problem was in hundreds of dollars, so all I had to do was just multiply by 100. But if yours was in like thousands, then you probably multiply by something a little different. Okay? Now, guys, I was about to stop this, and then I noticed something. I used what? 2 and 7, right? And I think I have... Oh, gosh, I made a horrible mistake. because it was because I had a typo. It was 2 through 7, and then when I typed in my t's, I said 1 through 7. Can I go ahead and fix this right now? Oh gosh, this is horrible because I used 2 when I found the fraction, and then I used a 1 when I evaluated the bound. So I'm going to go ahead and fix this problem right now. And it's not going to be that difficult. I'm going to go ahead and keep 1. I'm going to go ahead and keep 1. Week 1 through 7. Just change this to 1. So I'll just change this to 6, 6, 6, and 6, and 6. 6, 6, 6, 6, and 6. And then the answer will just be a little different. I'm kind of glad I caught it before I stopped this video. So I just changed the problem to 1 to 7, week 1 to week 7. So let me just type this part in one more time. 7 over 6 e to the 7th minus e to the 1st. And it comes out to be, hold on, 1276.23. Multiply that by 100. $127,623 is the answer. So the mistake that I had was, as I was about to close this video, that I had 2 different information typed up in my answer. So I just changed the problem to 1 through 7, week 1 through 7, and everything else looks good now. Alrighty, email me if you have any other questions.